So at the halfway point of our third season in charge of West Ham, we find ourselves top of the Premier League table. And we've been here before, haven't we? Run the intro. We kicked off the new year with the news that Gianluca Scamacca came runner-up in FIFA Best Men's Player and FIFA Pro Player of the Year award. Joe Bellingham won Europeans Golden Boy, while Declan Rice took home the England Player of the Year award. We travelled to St James's Park, but it was not a happy outing for us. A Coop Miners penalty and a goal from Francisco Trincao saw us slip to a very disappointing 2-1 defeat. We bounced back in our next game against Crystal Palace through a Jarrod Bowen penalty, a wonderful free kick from Gianluca Scamacca, and a brilliantly curled effort into the top corner by Andreas Schelderup. Another London derby up next, this time against Chelsea, and we took the lead off this howler from Edouard Mendy. And with just a few minutes to go, we sealed all 3 points after some good work from Giovanni Reina allowed Joe Bellingham to set up Jarrod Bowen to make it 2-0. But the highlight of the match came from Youssoufa Moukoko, who spotted Edouard Mendy off his line and had the audacity to chip him from about 25 yards. What a finish, son. There were a few moves in the January transfer window, with Deandre Nabello moving to Fulham on loan till the end of the season. And to replace him, we brought in Atalanta's Rasmus Højlund. The 21-year-old 6'3" striker joins us for just £21.5 million, and I think we can all agree he looks very, very exciting. We rounded off January with a 0-0 draw away at Leeds and a 2-0 win away at Brentford before travelling to second place Liverpool. And of course, this is Anfield, where we don't have the best record, and this looks set to continue when Mo Salah put the hosts in front. Salah then scored again to make it 2-0 before Fabinho scored this rocket in the second half to inflict a rather damaging 3-1 defeat on us. This was significant as Liverpool are now level on points of us and we are only top on goal difference. And now they're top after a 3-1 win against Chelsea, while we face Manchester United at the London Stadium. Thankfully, we got ourselves back to the top of the table, with Lucas Paqueta scoring the only goal of the game with this lovely finish, which makes this 0-0 draw at home to Everton even more annoying. So we're now in third with a difficult trip to Manchester City coming up, but there was some good news as Liverpool dropped points at home in a 3-2 defeat to Aston Villa. But as I mentioned, we have Manchester City and they have Erling Haaland, so obviously we went 1-0 down. But of course, we have our own goal machine playing up front for us, and after a mistake in the City defence, Scamacca was on hand to make it 1-1. And in the second half, our chances of winning were given a huge boost thanks to Jude Bellingham trying his best to break Khephren Thuram's ankles. The England star received his marching orders and City were down to 10 men. And with less than 10 minutes to go, we made our man advantage count, with Scamacca heading home from a Ben Johnson cross. A much needed 3 points secured, and we sent Erling Haaland home a little bit unhappy.
A bit shit, but that's all it is.
And we send ourselves back to the top of the table with 10 games to go by just a single point. Now, in case you're wondering about the Champions League, we do still have a couple of games left to play in the league phase. Gianluca Scamacca scored yet another hat-trick, this time in a 4-1 win against RB Leipzig, with this outrageous effort being the pick of the bunch. But that wasn't even the best goal of the game. That came from Jarrod Bowen, who scored this unbelievable first-time volley into the top corner. Our next game saw Flynn Downs try to get in on the goal of the season act with this belter against Ajax. And Lucas Paqueta rounded off a 2-1 win, which sees us qualify for the knockout rounds, finishing top of the league phase unbeaten. And after all that hard work, we had to hope that we were given a rather favourable draw in the round of 16, and that is exactly what happened when we were drawn against Monaco. Returning to league action then, and after back-to-back home wins against Leicester and Burnley, we travelled to Molineux to take on Wolves. And in what was a pretty dire performance, we found ourselves a goal down thanks to Kelechi Iheanacho, and the home side doubled their lead thanks to this ridiculous deflected effort. However, one of the biggest strengths we've got is the quality we can bring off the bench. And it was our substitutes who combined to help get us back into the game. First of all, Joe Bellingham setting up Youssoufa Moukoko to make it 2-1. Khephren Thuram then turned provider for Moukoko, who scored once again to make it 2-2. And with just 5 minutes to go, Marcus Edwards played a brilliant ball to Moukoko, who sealed his hat-trick and completed a fantastic turnaround to give us a 3-2 win. A 15-minute hat-trick after coming off the bench, Moukoko is an absolute joke. We carried that momentum into our next couple of games, first off beating Nottingham Forest 2-0 thanks to goals from Inacio, and of course, who else but Gianluca Scamacca. It was an even better day for us as Leeds beat second place Liverpool, and we took full advantage of Liverpool's slip-up in our next game against Southampton. A Gianluca Scamacca penalty and a goal from Youssoufa Moukoko sealed a 2-0 win, but there was some bad news as Joe Bellingham was sent off for this rather nasty tackle on Lavia. But more importantly, this run of form means we remain top of the table by just 4 points, and 7 points clear of Liverpool, although they do have a game in hand. And just like last season, this title race could well go down to the final day. And if you're excited for another dramatic title race, then don't forget to subscribe to the channel and of course, leave a like on the video as well. You might also be wondering what's going on with the domestic cups. Well, we got knocked out of the third round of the League Cup by Arsenal, but the FA Cup, that's been a bit of a different story for us. We've had a rather favourable run getting past the likes of Watford, Blackburn, Everton and Leeds United to set up a rather mouth-watering semi-final tie against Leicester City. And let me tell you now, viewers, this is one of the most infuriating games of FM I've played this year. First of all, the referee decided that this was a penalty just 30 seconds into the game. Luckily, Cup goalkeeper Bento denied Sarr from the spot. But just a few minutes later, the referee gave yet another penalty to Leicester for this. What's even more confusing is that the text commentary says that Ben Johnson made the foul, yet you can clearly see here that it's Giovanni Reina who makes the tackle. I don't know. I just don't know anymore. Cole Palmer steps up this time and he converts. It was a frustrating game for us where we struggled to break the Foxes down, but thankfully with just 10 minutes to go, we managed to do just that through who else but Gianluca Scamacca. Then with just 3 minutes to go, a brilliant ball from Mudryk set up Jarrod Bowen to give us a 2-1 lead and surely a place in the FA Cup final, which was confirmed thanks to this header from Scamacca. And we will once again be taking on Liverpool. So we're top of the Premier League, we're in the FA Cup final, but how are we getting on in the Champions League? So as I mentioned before, we will be going up against Monaco in the round of 16, and in the first leg we left it until the 80th minute before Khephren Thuram gave us a 1-0 victory. And in the second leg, the Frenchman turned provider, not only setting up use for Moukoko, but also Flynn Downs to give us a 2-0 lead. And to round things off, Marcus Edwards set up Gianluca Scamacca to make it 3-0 in the second leg and 4-0 on aggregate, which set up a quarter-final tie against Barcelona. We were at home in the first leg, and after some good link-up between Lucas Paqueta and Andreas Schelderup, the Norwegian raced through and put us in front. And it would be Paqueta who sealed a 2-0 first leg victory after some questionable goalkeeping from ter Stegen. And after a goalless second leg, we booked our place in the semi-final where we will be taking on none other than PSG. This was certainly our toughest challenge of the knockout so far, and that was proven correct when Lionel Messi put the host in front after just 4 minutes. Things were made even more difficult for us after captain Declan Rice hacked down Kylian Mbappe and received a straight red card. And early into the second half, Vitinha gave us a massive mountain to climb in the second leg, giving PSG a 2-0 victory. It is worth noting that Donnarumma had an absolute blinder for them. PSG continued to frustrate us in the second leg, however with just over 20 minutes to go, Scamacca headed us back into the game. And just 10 minutes later, Joe Bellingham volleyed home to make it 2-2 on aggregate, however unfortunately for us, VAR ruled it out for offside. So at the semi-final stage, our Champions League run comes to a rather disappointing end. Let's not forget, however, that we were still well and truly in the title race. Although that being said, we did suffer a minor setback with a very disappointing 1-1 draw against relegation candidates Middlesbrough. And it was at this moment I realised, because of our run in the Champions League and because of the extra games we had to play in the Champions League this season, for our final run-in of the Premier League season, we had to play 4 games in only 8 days. So thanks UEFA, that's really helped me out, that has. Unbelievable. So in the first of these 4 games, we took on Brighton and took the lead through Giovanni Reina. However, with just over 10 minutes to go, Leandro Trossard broke through and drew the visitors level. Safe to say, this is really not looking good for us. However, luck was on our side this time as the ball found its way to Jarrod Bowen in injury time, who curled this lovely effort past Sanchez to give us all 3 points. We have a game in hand over Liverpool, who after just beating Man United 4-0, sit top of the table by just a point. In our next game against Aston Villa, there was yet another hat-trick for Gianluca Scamacca in what was a resounding 4-0 win, which was capped off by this hilarious mistake from the Villa goalkeeper, which allowed Moukoko to get in on the action. Our rival Spurs were up next at the London Stadium, and thankfully it was another comfortable victory for us. Summer signing Mykhailo Mudryk opened the scoring before Andreas Schelderup doubled our lead after a mistake from Norrington. And Jarrod Bowen sealed the win from the penalty spot. It wasn't all good news though, with Mykhailo Mudryk ruled out for the season with a hamstring injury and Declan Rice missing 3 games through suspension. 15 yellow cards, by the way. Are you having a laugh? So here we are again, going into the final day of the season, knowing just the win will be enough to guarantee us our first ever Premier League title. We're away at Arsenal, whilst Liverpool are away against Southampton. And it seems unlikely that Liverpool will drop points in that game, so we need to be at our best. But hold on a minute, Southampton have just taken the lead 2 minutes in against Liverpool. Unfortunately for us though, a mistake from Thuram allowed Arsenal to win the ball back and take the lead through Gabriel Martinelli. And just 10 minutes later, things went from bad to worse for us, with Gabriel heading home from a free kick to double their lead. And just a few minutes into the second half, some horrendous defending allowed Tomiyasu to run through our entire defence and make it 3-0 to Arsenal. And quite remarkably, viewers, we really are going to bottle the league once again. Or maybe we won't, because Southampton, unbelievably, are 2-0 up against Liverpool with just about 25 minutes remaining. So whatever if Arsenal make it 4-0. As things stand, we are going to be Premier League champions. And with the full-time whistle blowing at St Mary's and Liverpool failing to beat Southampton on the final day, despite us getting trounced at the Emirates, West Ham United have won their first ever Premier League title. Winning the title whilst losing 4-0. I can't think of a more West Ham way of doing things than that. But don't forget, the season is not quite over yet, as we have the FA Cup final against the team that we just beat to the title, Liverpool. And clearly the lads were still beaming from their title win, as just 7 minutes in, we took the lead through Lucas Paqueta. However, after giving away a free kick in a very dangerous position, Trent Alexander-Arnold punished us to make it 1-1. Neither side could find a breakthrough and the game went to extra time. And unfortunately for us, it would be Liverpool who found the deciding goal, with Darwin Núñez racing through and placing a brilliant finish past Areola to make it 2-1 and give Liverpool the FA Cup for this season. Despite that disappointment, however, it has been an absolutely unbelievable season, with us finally clinching our first ever Premier League title. Gianluca Scamacca once again falls just short of the golden boot to Erling Haaland, but he did come second in the average rating, with Yusuf Moukoko coming in third. And Giovanni Reina ended the season with the highest amount of assists with 14. And Alphonso Areola was once again leading the way in terms of clean sheets, tied this time with Jordan Pickford. So this was the season where we were finally crowned Premier League champions, and I don't know about you viewers, but I'm thinking that next season we finally go and get that Champions League trophy. Thank you once again for watching, ladies and gentlemen. If you have enjoyed it, please leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any more uploads from myself in the future. And as always, if the next episode is out by the time you're watching this one, I'll make sure to include it on the end screen for you. As always, I've been Breezy. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. And, well, as always, one thing left to say. Come on, you Irons!